Mrs. S. Shobana is working as assistant professor in the Department of English at Sindhi College of Arts and Science, Chennai. She has done a UG in botany with distinction at SRC Trichy. She has done her MA and MPhil in English literature under Alagappa University, Karaikudi. Now, she is doing a PhD in English under the University of Madras at Queen Mary's College, Chennai. She has attended many workshops and conferences and has presented papers in national and international level. She has more than 10 years of teaching experience in UG and PG in the area of English, environmental science, and soft skills. Her research interests are environmental science, public health, and hygiene.
Welcome to UGC lecture series on public awareness part 8. In the previous session, I was telling you about the impact of the environment on the life of the human beings. According to the condition of the environment, the people's life living in that particular environment will be affected. If the environment is good, the people in that particular area will be leading a healthy life. On the other hand, if the environment is not suitable for living, if the environmental conditions are not clean and hygienic, the people living there are prone to diseases. So, there is a close connectivity between the environment and the people's health. In this session too, I am going to continue regarding the same issue. Now, let us see what are the topics which I am going to deal today. The contents are as follows: infectious diseases, re-emergence of the diseases, several health hazards, transmission of diseases, and global warming. Now, let us see about each. Now, look at the picture, the cause for the diseases. Look at the center. The severe diseases may occur due to these three factors. They are the host, the pathogen, and the environment. The environment is closely related. From this picture, you can understand this. The environment also should be in a proper condition and the host should be in a proper condition to survive. Then the disease causing pathogen will not enter into the host body and the environment will be kept in a hygienic way. Now, we will see about the infectious diseases. Many infectious diseases have re-emerged with a vengeance. Loss of effective control over diseases such as malaria and tuberculosis have led to a return of these diseases decades after being kept under stringent control. From this, it is clear that earlier the diseases which were eradicated from the environment have re-emerged now. What is the reason? The environment is not kept clean and it is inviting the disease causing organisms to spread and thereby causes serious health problems to the people living. From this, it is clear that the environment plays a vital role in the health and hygiene of the human beings. Now, let us see what are the infectious diseases and how they will be causing infections. Infectious diseases, also known as transmissible diseases or communicable diseases, comprise clinically evident illness, that is, characteristic medical signs and or symptoms of diseases resulting from the infection, presence and growth of pathogenic biological agents in an individual host organism. See, from this we understand that the infectious diseases which are getting into the host body and they are easily transmissible from one host to the other by physical contact or any other means. Once if the host body is with immune power, the pathogens, the disease causing organisms will not enter into the host body. The environment has to supply good source of health to the host. The environment acts as a mediator between the pathogen and the host. When the environment is maintained in a clean and neat manner, the disease causing organisms will not spread. They will die and they cannot spread any infectious diseases to the host, and that will in turn stop the epidemic or the contagious diseases. Other diseases were not known to science earlier and seem to have suddenly hit our health and our lives during the last few decades. AIDS, due to the human immunodeficiency virus, that is HIV, caused through sexual transmission, and severe acute respiratory syndrome SARS are two such examples. See, earlier many diseases which are now prevalent among the general public were not known. AIDS and SARS, these diseases are new to the people, which is spreading fast. The improper condition of the environment is a reason for the re-emergence of the various diseases which were eradicated from the environment. While these cannot be directly related to the environmental chain, they affect the environment in which we live by forcing a change in lifestyle and behavior patterns. For example, the SARS outbreak prevented people from several countries from traveling to other countries for months, severely affecting national economies, airline companies and the tourism industry. Look here, the HIV, AIDS and the SARS, this is not due to the environmental problems which is being spread. This is due to various reasons, but these diseases cause severe damage to the country's economic level. When people are affected by these diseases, they cannot travel to other countries, and so their business will be spoiled and the economy of the country will be depleted. So, we have to see that our environment is not affecting us in health wise, and we are not affecting our environment by our poor ill health and body condition. Why have infectious diseases that were related to our environment, that were under control, suddenly made a comeback? Diseases such as tuberculosis have been effectively treated with anti-tubercular drugs for decades. These antibiotics are used to kill off the bacteria that causes the diseases. This is a very good question which many of you would be having in your minds. Earlier I told you that the diseases which were eradicated from the country 2 or 3 decades earlier have now re-emerged. What is the reason? 2 or 3 decades earlier, there was no medical advancement as now, but still the eradicated diseases have come again. What is the reason? The reason is that the pathogens or the disease causing organisms are able to sustain themselves or grow in the condition which is now. The environmental condition which is prevailing now is suitable for their life. So, the pathogens are able to multiply and get into the host body and cause diseases. From this, it is clear that still more medical advancements have to come, and the environment has to prevent the multiplication of the disease causing organisms. In the earlier days, when people were not aware about the health and hygiene and proper sanitation, the diseases were eradicated. But now we people are aware of the condition in which we have to keep our environment, but still the pathogens are spreading. This shows that we are not maintaining our environment in a proper way to suit ourselves for a healthy life. Bear this in mind and act. Re-emergence of the disease, we will see about this in detail. However, nature's evolutionary processes are capable of permitting bacteria to mutate by creating new genetically modified strains. Those that change in a way so that they are not affected by the routinely used antibiotics begin to spread rapidly. This leads to re-emergence of the diseases. As I said you earlier, the pathogens or the disease causing organisms have flourished. They are well aware of the conditions of the vaccines and antibiotic, and they are resistant to it, and they are starting to multiply. So, we have to find out new techniques and methods to kill them and to lead a healthy life by maintaining a proper environmental condition. The newer broad spectrum antibiotics, antiseptics, disinfectants and vaccines, once thought of as a complete answer to infectious diseases, have thus failed to eradicate infectious diseases. This is, as I said you regarding the previous slide. We have to find out new medicines and vaccines and capsules to enhance better status of our healthy living. The disease causing infectious germs have been used to all these antibiotics and drugs, and they are multiplying and are getting into the body of the host. Look at this picture of a lady. This is a paper cutting from the previous years. See, Mary Mallon, she is generally known as Typhoid Mary, was an asymptomatic carrier of typhoid fever. Over the course of her career as a cook, she infected 53 people, 3 of whom died. See, this lady was a cook. She was affected by typhoid, but she did not have any symptoms at all. She was asymptomatic, and thus she did not know that she was affected by typhoid. And as she was a cook, she has to use her hands for cooking, by which she has transmitted the typhoid disease to 53 of them, out of which 3 were killed. So, the disease which we get, or the pathogens which infect us, are so cruel. We have to be very cautious about it and think about this and maintain our environment in a proper manner and check that you are free of any disease. An antibacterial is a compound or substance that kills or slows down the growth of bacteria. The term is often used synonymously with the term antibiotics. Today, however, with increased knowledge of the causative agents of various infectious diseases, antibiotics has come to denote a broader range of antimicrobial compounds, including antifungal and other compounds. These antibiotics and antibacterial and antifungal compounds are given to us as intake to prevent us from getting infections and diseases. So, we should check that we are free from any infection and take these prescribed antibiotics or antibacterial drugs. Experts in fact now feel that these diseases will be the greatest killers in future and not diseases such as malignancy or heart disease. While antibiotic resistance is a well known phenomenon, there are other reasons for the re-emergence of diseases. From the above slide, it is clear that we will be affected in a larger manner if we are not going to keep our environment clean. We will be prone to various types of diseases, and slowly the disease will spread from one host to the other and it will become an epidemic. So, in order to safeguard ourselves, we have to keep our environment clean and neat, and a desirable environment should be there for the healthy life of the people. Now, let us have a short break. Welcome back after the break. Now, we are going to see about the next issue regarding the diseases spreading, which is overpopulation. Overpopulation is a generally undesirable condition where an organism's number exceed the carrying capacity of its habitat. The term often refers to the relationship between the human population and its environment, the earth, or smaller geographical areas such as countries. See, overpopulation leads to various problems like scarcity of space to live, scarcity of water, scarcity of food, and lack of proper health and malnutrition. So, overpopulation should be checked, and the general people should be given awareness to check overpopulation in order to maintain a healthy living in a healthy environment. Look at the picture how people have been crowded in a truck. See here how they are just hanging over in a train. Look at this picture. In a balance, one side the globe is, and on the other side, see how overpopulated our earth is. There are various health hazards which are due to the overpopulation. Overcrowding due to the formation of slums in the urban settings leads to several health hazards, including easier spread of respiratory diseases. Look at these pictures too, which shows about overpopulation. See, when people are crowded in an area, when they are living a life like this, easily the disease spreading organisms will spread, and it is transmitted from one person to another in an easy and quick manner without any hesitation. We have to avoid this by checking overpopulation. Transmission of infectious diseases may also involve a vector. Vectors may be mechanical or biological. A mechanical vector picks up an infectious agent on the outside of its body and transmits it in a passive manner. Now, look at the next slide too. An example of a mechanical vector is a housefly, which lands on a cow dung, contaminating its appendages with bacteria from the feces, and then lands on the food prior to consumption. The pathogen never enters the body of the fly. From this, it is clear that the disease causing pathogen, the infection causing agent, is not going to be affected by the disease. It just pricks a person who is infected, and again it pricks another person. Or if you take a housefly, it sits on a cow dung or any fecal matter and then comes and sits on the food material which is going to be consumed by someone. Slowly the disease is going to spread, but the pathogen or the vector is not going to be affected in any way. Only when the environment is not clean, all this is going to happen. So, see that the environment is maintained in a neat manner and check that your food habits are proper and a manner which is going to provoke your healthy life. Respiratory diseases and meningitis are commonly acquired by contact with aerosolized droplets spread by sneezing, coughing, talking, kissing or even singing. All these activities will promote respiratory diseases. So, in order to check, you have to maintain proper relationship with others and the sick person should be made to stand a little bit away from the others. The respiratory diseases is going to come in a very fast manner only when the air is polluted. So, see that the air is not contaminated by human activities. Inadequate drinking water, quality and poor disposal of human waste due to absence of a closed sewage system and proper garbage management are all urban health issues. Regarding the sewage disposal and open drains, I have dealt in my previous sessions itself. When the drains are not covered, disease causing pathogens will spread easily, will multiply and it will cause serious health hazards to the host. Bear this in mind and see that the environment is kept clean. Gastrointestinal diseases are often acquired by ingesting contaminated food and water. See, we may not think that only through air or only through the land we will be infected. We will be greatly infected by the intake of contaminated water and not properly maintained food. The food which we take in should be clean and should be pure and safe for a healthy life. So, see that the environment in which it is cooked and which is where it is stored is maintained in a proper manner. This has led to a comeback of diseases such as cholera and an increased incidence of diarrhea and dysentery as well as infectious hepatitis, that is jaundice. See, because of the poor maintenance of the environmental conditions in which the people are living, the diseases have re-emerged again and so many people are being affected by it daily. Jaundice and malaria and cholera are spreading easily only by these improper conditions. So, bear this in mind and act accordingly. With increasing global warming, disease patterns will continue to change. Tropical diseases spread by vectors such as the mosquito will undoubtedly spread malaria further away from the equator. See, the next issue is the global warming. By the action of global warming, so much of lives and many changes have come to this earth. The disease spreading organisms too have started to spread their infections because of this global warming. Let us see about this as how they are doing it now. Global warming will also change the distribution of dengue, yellow fever, encephalitis, etc. Warmer, wetter climates could cause serious epidemics of diseases such as cholera. El Nino, which causes periodic warming, is likely to affect rodent population. This could bring back diseases such as plague. In history, we might have dealt about the plague or the rat fever, which once targeted the entire city of a particular European country and the entire population of the city were put down to death. This was because of the improper management of the sewage system and open drains. This has led to an epidemic and the total population of the city was put to death. Now, the environmental condition is so bad that we fear that the epidemics which killed so many people will very soon occur. Only if we are not bothered about the health condition, we need not be bothered about the environment. On the other hand, we have to think about a healthy life and maintain our environment in a proper way. Effects of globalization on diseases in the modern world. Modern modes of transportation allow more people and products to travel around the world at a faster pace. They also open the airways to the transcontinental movement of infectious disease vectors. One example is the West Nile virus in the New York City in 1999. See, regarding the globalization, the term globalization means that all the continents of the entire world are linked to each other. They are interconnected now and the world has shrunk. There are so many advantages of globalization, but there are demerits too. Regarding this Nile virus in New York in 1999, the disease causing pathogen, the mosquitoes, they traveled in the air along with the airplane and they went to the other part of the country, other part of the continent and started to spread diseases. So, by globalization also, we are to get diseases. We have to be very careful in maintaining a proper environment. Effects of globalization on diseases. As medicine has progressed, many vaccines and cures have been developed for some of the worst diseases, that is plague, syphilis, typhus, cholera, malaria, which people suffer. Finding vaccines at all for some diseases remains extremely difficult. Without vaccines, the global world remains vulnerable to infectious diseases. So, this is a plea to the medical practitioners and researchers that until and unless new vaccines and new antibiotics are found, the fast spreading diseases could not be checked, and it is a plea to the people to maintain their environment too in a proper survival which is fit for the survival of the people. Evolution of disease presents a major threat in modern times. For example, the current swine flu or Hine virus is a new strain of an old form of flu known for centuries as Asian flu based on its origin on that continent. See, we are thinking that swine flu is a disease which is a latest disease which is spreading and there is no drug for it or there is no history about it. But this is a disease which was called as the Asian flu, which was prevalent in the olden days, which has re-emerged now and which is being of great threat to the people now. Now, let us see about it in detail. From 1918 to 1920, a post-World War I global influenza epidemic killed an estimated 50 to 100 million people, including 500,000 in the United States alone. Hine is a virus that has evolved from and partially combined with the portions of avian, swine and human flu. The swine flu is an epidemic which is got from a virus which has its source in the pig. It is not caused or spread by the pigs in contact with human beings. No, it spreads only through human beings. It spreads from one human being to the other by close contact or by through the air. So, this swine flu has to be kept in mind and proper environmental conditions has to be maintained. Now, to sum up, whilst globalization has the potential to enhance the lives and living standards of certain population groups for poor and marginalized populations in both the non-formal as well as formal economic sectors of developing countries, globalization enhances economic inequalities. See, there are various advantages by the globalization process, but there are worse conditions too. The poor people's life status is not enhanced and they are living an environment which is not safeguarding their lives. So, this globalization has to improve their life conditions too, and by which they can lead a healthy life. Now, look at the picture. The advantages and the disadvantages of globalization is given, in which we have poverty level 2 and which has to be dealt with, and proper growth should be seen, and the health status of the people should be improved by our globalization. Now, coming to the summary, the cause of infectious diseases were dealt and the reason for the re-emergence of diseases. We have to think as why the diseases which were eradicated have re-emerged. The impact of overpopulation, this is a matter which has to be thought and rethought. The spread of disease and the dangers of global warming. Now, the questions which I am going to pose in front of you are: what is an infectious disease? What is the reason for the re-emergence of various disease? What are the threats due to overpopulation? What are the reasons for the spread of diseases? How can we maintain a healthy environment? Think about all these things and act and try to maintain a proper environment and atmosphere for a suitable life which will be healthy, and create an awareness among everyone regarding this. Thank you.